It doesn't seem to matter how far I get in my reading of the Tanakh. I keep getting drawn back to read and reread Bereshit, chapter 1, Genesis, because I just get the sense that there is just unfathomable depths in these first few lines and first few words as recorded. It's almost like the seed of the beginning holds the knowledge of the whole thing. That's how it feels to me. Anyway, so I was reading this the first couple of sentences again, and it was talking about this part here we're all familiar with, in the earth, pre-form was without form and empty, and that's how the haaretz hita tahu va bohu, which has been translated as without form and empty. And the interesting thing is that this word here, tohu, which I'm going to write on my little whiteboard in a second, is a word I actually came across recently. Hadn't really noticed it here prior to that. When I was reading in the Kabbalah texts about the, primordial chaos that was before the creation of the world, of the universe of form, and I came across this, word that was translated in English as tohu, meaning chaos, and then here it is, right here, jumping out at me from the text, tohu. So I found this word. Now I'm just going to get my whiteboard. Excuse the wobbly wobbly, and I'll write them on here. So we've got toe. I'll put the. Oh no, actually I won't. It's written as just the toe. Who? Okay, so we've got the tav, the hey, and the vav there. So in English we would write it tohu. So we've got tohu va bohu. I left myself any room here. Here's the bohu. Bohu. Okay, so you could put the little O sound above there. All right, so both of these words, if you just look them up in online on a Hebrew to English dictionary, both of those words, tohu and bohu, are both translated as chaos. Now, in the translation, the English translation of the Old Testament, it's translated as without form, tohu, and empty. Okay, so I want to do what I like to do, which is break down the actual original pictographs of these two words and see if we can get some insight into what these without form and empty state of chaos really is all about. Because in the Christian, modern Christian understanding, we really don't talk about what happened before creation. We just don't even go there. And I think that there's good reason for that. And I'm not going to go deeply into that in this video. But so let's just look at the pictographs separately. Okay. So we'll look at Tohu first. So we've got the Tav. Now let's remember that originally was the symbol for union, okay? The two opposing principles coming together in agreement. So this was a symbol for union. Union with what? Okay, so we're talking about what state the earth was in before it was formed. Now I think that this is like a microcosm of of a macro principle. So we're not just talking about the earth here. We're just talking about creation in general, that all creation is in this state before it is formed in matter and substance. Okay, so we have union. What's this hay? Now remember that this hay means like the wind or the breath. It's really just a symbol for the spirit. And what is the spirit? We've got, I'll just write union next to the tab there. So we've got spirit. Now, when we talk about spirit it's not something that has substance as we think of substance in this realm. So it's more like a guiding principle, like the Force in the Star Wars lore. It's like, it's in all things, through all things, guiding all things. It binds us and connects us, blah, 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 blah. So it's kind of, I like to think of it as the unconscious guiding will, or the Force that, makes everything happen, basically. Okay, so far in Tohu, we've got union. Now, I'm going to separate these things out a little bit. So we'll put a line through that. So we've got the idea of union, and the who is the thing that we're being united with. So we've got the spirit, the unconscious will. And what's this one here? So this is the Vav. And originally it was, it symbolized like a tent pole, like something that held up. It was a supportive structure, right? So representing strength, uprightness. It's it's definitely the masculine, the idea of the masculine symbol. I am not I'm sure we're mature adults here, so I want to talk about it as like the upright, erect phallus. Okay, so when we think of an erect phallus as like a masculine symbol of strength, right? It's equated with latent potential. Okay, so this is really a really important kind of image, mental image, for the primordial state, latent potential. So if you think about a fully erect phallus, penis, yes, we're all mature adults here, we can talk about this. It's you can't, the potential within, the potential for life that is within an erect phallus is not visible, right? We can't see it from the outside, but it's and it's like it's there just waiting to explode into the womb of where life can evolve and grow and form, right? So it's latent potential. So I want to say that we have these principles of unconscious will, so the directing, guiding idea of what this latent potential could become. So this is literally describes the state of affairs, immediately before the explosion into form and the universe of creation, right? Which is the only thing that we can be consciously aware of. So it's saying in this scripture, right, that the earth, before it became the earth, it was united, so it was like one with the unconscious will of latent potential, right? So it hadn't yet been separated into, and it hadn't yet become separate from this realm of unorganized potential life and matter. Okay, so it was still one with that before it had form and void. Okay, so let's look at what's the difference between that and Bohu. Well, maybe it's just describing a little bit. Bohu just describes this state just a little bit more in depth. And I think that's why the word has been translated in modern Hebrew, they're both just translated as like chaos, right? So Bohu, we've got the bait, which just means within something. So the earth was like one, it was united with this unconscious will of latent potential, right? The who. Who's coming? Who is going to be created? It's a big question mark, right? Who? That's how you would say it. It would sound like who, these two letters together. Who. It's kind of funny, I think. Who's going to be next? All right, so if you put the bait in front of it and make it Bohu, then that just means within, right? So the earth was both, one with, it was both united with the who, and it was within the who. So it was, it wasn't separate, and it was kind of contained within this state. And it's interesting because in the Kabbalah it talks about the three mother letters which existed before the world of the universe of form, and which are like Aleph, Shin, and Mem. But it says that they had no ability to act. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't interact, these three letters. And so then this thing occurred, which is referred to as the breaking of the vessels. So we had these three vessels of latent potential, which were in the pre-existent state. But then, this event called the breaking of the vessels, which I would simply equate to like what the scientific community refer to as the Big Bang, right? The explosion into the universe of form. And from that point on, there was this situation where things could interact, right? And the laws of physics come into play because these, things can actually connect and interact. But before that, they call them the vessels because obviously they're just holding like emptiness, right? Holding the potential, but it's not like nothing as we think of nothing. It's potential. It's the erect phallus, all right? So before the world it was part of this realm of potential, which was chaos because there was no order, there was no form, no interaction, no form. No, that's too big. All right. And so it's also really interesting to me that the Hebrew word for he, like the masculine he, is the who, but with an aleph at the end of it. So we have the spirit, we have the potential, but then we also have the aleph, which is strength and action and like the conscious will. Like remember, that's the symbol for the masculine divine consciousness. And the strength, I mean, originally it was as an ox head, right? It was upside down. It was the head of an ox. Being the thing that causes things to move, the thing that pushes, the strength to make things happen. So that's what the aleph represents. So before the aleph, we just have the who, right? So before mankind has the potential to even do anything or experience anything, we just have the unconscious will, the latent potential, but then as soon as it explodes into the realm of form, and which is, what happened with the earth and the creation of the earth, first it was without form and void. And then we have added to it in the realm of, the masculine realm with the masculine God, we have action, which means things can happen. So I think it's just really fascinating. I think it's worth exploring and understanding this Tohu state, it's Tohu and Bohu, because it really is describing the pre-existent state before there was anything, and it's like the deep dark feminine that isn't understood but has to be there. You have to have the potential, right, before you can have the reality. You can't have reality without the idea of what could be happening first. The idea and the possibility has to exist before the reality. So yeah, Tohu and Bohu, we got to get to know and understand what was before.